right. Hello guys. I believe we are live, and that must mean once again it's Saturday 1 p.m. Eastern time. We got a really cool show today, and actually I was running around and scrambling just up to the 30 seconds prior to going live, just figuring out some new information about what we're going to be looking at today on the show, which is this awesome, gigantic RGB LED panel that I have here right next to me. This is the TRIGYN 2200C RGB+W LED panel. We'll get into what all of that means and how it works. But first, I want to welcome you guys to the show. For those of you who are longtime subscribers, welcome back. As you know, we try and hang out every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time live. For those of you who may just be coming across this video either live or recorded for the first time, welcome to the channel. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and click that notification bell so that you are notified whenever I have new content coming out, especially this live stuff, so you can tune in, hang out, ask questions, and all of that. Now that brings us to our next awesome point, which is this is live, which means we get to chat and hang out. You guys get to interact with me all throughout the show, ask questions. A lot of times I get questions and test ideas from you guys during the show that I wouldn't have thought of myself, and we end up having a really good time and getting some pretty cool content out of it. And the added bonus is that your commentary will forever be immortalized here in this stream, because I can, hold on one second, I click the right button, there we go. I can bring you guys up here and have our chat on the screen. So I will keep that up on the screen as we're going along so that we can have some conversations and ask questions. I see we already have somebody in here. Mr. Snowman, evening from the UK. Well, thank you for joining us. I know it's getting towards evening time on Saturday over there, so I appreciate you taking the time to hang out. So if any of you guys are also hanging out, please feel free to chime in that chat. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you're up to. And as we go ahead and look at this light, go ahead and ask me any questions. One thing I do want to say, we're going to try this out. Last week we had a really active chat, which was awesome, but it got to the point where I was worried that I was missing stuff in the chat because it was flying by so fast and I was trying to cover the subject matter. So if you have a question or something specifically directed towards me, just make sure you @ Bart Johnson Productions in the comments. It will pop up on my screen as highlighted in orange, and that way I know that you're talking directly to me, because a lot of times in the chat you guys have conversations helping each other out and stuff like that, which is awesome. I have no problem with that. But if you have something directly for me and you want to make sure you get my attention, just make sure to use that @ symbol and then Bart Johnson Productions, and it should pop up here so that I can see it as we go along. That's something new we're trying as the channel and the chat and the live engagement are growing, so it's awesome. I really appreciate you guys for hanging out. Let's see what we got here. Watching live, greetings from Suriname. Very cool. So yeah, we get a good international audience here. But anyway, guys, we're going to get right into it because, as always, we have a lot to cover, and we're going to try and squeeze it into our 45 minutes to an hour, or shorter, who knows, but that's usually what they turn into. But we're going to be taking a look at this guy today. Like I said, this is the TRIGYN RGB+W LED panel. The 2200C is the model number of it. Now, a lot of you guys may not have heard of TRIGYN. They are sort of a newish company, at least to my knowledge, but they're working with a longtime company that I've worked with many times, which is Lampard. So Lampard is starting to get into some additional companies, some additional ventures, some high-end products in various fields, lighting, batteries, chargers, and stuff like that. And TRIGYN is one of those companies, and TRIGYN, the guys over there, were awesome enough to send this out to me. So full disclaimer there, I did not purchase this light. They did send it over to me to test, and in all honesty, I've had it for quite a while, but I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to you know, do a proper review on it. But since we've been having such a good time with these live sort of you know, overviews and reviews, I figured this light would be perfect for it. So obviously RGB lighting is sort of the hot new thing right now in LED. At NAB 2018, there was RGB lighting all over the place. It looked like a party. They come in all different shapes, sizes, you know, different features and capabilities and stuff like that. And so TRIGYN, this is their offering right now, and it is a beast. Now, this is definitely the largest RGB panel I have worked with. I previously did a review of the Luxley Viola lights, which are small RGB lights, and I'll have a link down to that video in the description down below, guys. But this guy is a whole different animal. This guy is huge. So let's take a look at its build, and then we'll start actually playing with it. So let's go ahead and switch to our camera 2. There we go. So as you can see here, guys, we got the front face of it. It does have this diffusion panel in here. There is a button off to the side here where you can press and release this diffusion panel, and then you can see underneath the actual LED array. So like I said, this is RGB+W, and what that means is that there's a red, green, and blue LED, and then there's also a white LED. And what that's for is, obviously you don't want to just be able to do red, green, and blue mixes out of this. You'd like to be able to use it for different color temperatures as well, just like a normal bicolor light. Well, that white LED is going to be helping you to do that. It should be a daylight-ish balanced LED right there. And we'll go ahead and we'll check some CRIs and TLCIs and see how well it does in that aspect. But that's what RGB+W means. You may have seen with some of the Luxley lights, I think they're cellos, they call them RGB+W, and that's RGB amber white. So what that means is there'd be an additional LED here that is amber or tungsten balanced. So this one doesn't have that, but we'll see how it does towards the tungsten range in creating that by mixing these. But anyway, let's get this nice diffusion panel back in here. It just slides down. Button clicks back up, holds it into place. Obviously, guys, we've got built-in barn doors here. Now this is a soft, these are all metal. This is a soft light and a panel, which, you know, they're usually not very good. You're not gonna be able to cut the light necessarily, but this is more to control spill. So if you want to make sure that you're not spilling too far off to either side, that's where these are going to help you. You know, it's not like if you close this up, you're going to get a nice solid streak of light out of this. That's just the nature of the way that the panel lights work. But let's go ahead and let's swing this guy around. This is the best way to do it without wrapping myself up in a cable. There we go, guys. So here we go. This is the back of it. It looks very similar to like an Airy Sky panel. Obviously, I think there was some inspiration taken from that for the build of this. Obviously, it has the TRIGYN black instead of the Airy blue. But you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if that design is sort of working for the industry, TRIGYN did a very good job in modeling after that. So here you go. You can see RGB+W 2200C is the model number. It is metal. It is a metal body. It's got plastic end caps, but it does feel pretty sturdy and ruggedly made. It's got some air ventilation here. No fans that I've been able to detect. I think it's just passively cooled by having enough space and airflow going through it. Up here we have a display, and we have 3 different control knobs. We have DMX in and out via sort of RJ45 type connector there. We have our power switch. We have power input here, which is a nice screw-on connector. I got it screwed on there really good. So we'll take this off here, guys. So it's 2-pin power in, and I don't know if you guys can see here, but this connector, what it has is it plugs in, and then it has this little collar that actually threads onto the threads right there. So if I take it, plug it in, and then twist the threads, and now it's nice and locked in. That thing's not going to pull out on you at any time, so you're nice and safe there. And then, of course, your other option is to run it off of batteries. So there are 2 V-mount plates on here, and I do want to let you guys know that it does require batteries to be on both. This is not so that it's hot swappable necessarily. This is because you need to have 2 batteries on here to power this light. It is kind of a beast. So I'll show you that. I'll show you what kind of runtime we're getting out of batteries and all of that. On the sides, guys, they have these nice ratcheting handles so that you can tighten down on this yoke. And the yoke itself is metal and comes down to a very nice, let me raise this up here, a very nice light stand adapter, all metal, good to go. I think the knob is plastic, but I'm not worried about anything here breaking. It's a good looking light. It's got a good build to it. So, of course, guys, the first thing that we're going to want to look at is we're going to want to start playing with this guy. So, like I said, it is an RGB+W light, meaning it should do the entire spectrum of all the colors, you know, mixing red, green, and blue to create those colors. And then it also can do a range of color temperatures from about, I believe, 2800 Kelvin all the way up to almost 10,000 Kelvin. And again, it's using those RGB LEDs in there as well as that white LED in order to achieve those sort of color temperatures. So let's see here. We have anything coming in the chat? No, a little silent in the chat today. That's okay though. If you guys have any questions at any point along the way, make sure to pop them in there and I will make sure to answer that. But let's press on. Let's take a look at how this guy works. Let's go in for a close-up first here. So the first thing we're going to do here, guys, let's see how I can show this to you best. Make sure I don't have any reflections on there. So we're going to go ahead and just kick it on. And here we go. So we have this nice lamp display. Let me go ahead and zoom this camera in a little bit since we're going to be doing some close-ups on this guy. I need a remote zoom, you know. Make sure we're focused. Oh, good. Autofocus got me out of focus. There we go. That looks good. Hopefully you guys can see that better so that we can see this display. So here we have this, this LED display that's showing us variable things. It's showing us a group and a channel number. This is because it actually does come with a remote, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but just lets you know which channel you can control it on. This is my output percentage. Right now I have it dimmed way down, so we're at 7%. Right now it says it's at 4400 Kelvin. Let's see here. There we go. So it's set to 4400 Kelvin. And here it has my last remaining settings. So I'm in the color temperature mode right now, but here are the last color settings that I had in there. So you can see what I had. It has a hue number that you can use, and then it also has your mix of red, green, and blue showing you how much of each is in there. Your saturation right here, and then these numbers, I'm not exactly sure what they are. And obviously my battery thing is going crazy and flickering right now, but I am on DC power, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. But anyway, guys, let's see here. So first we're gonna go ahead, let's take a look at some of the colors we can create with this guy. So I'm gonna bring us back to one so that we can see the background here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to kill my background light. And let's see, let's kill my key and fill as well. And let's see if we can throw some color cast on this background here. So we are turned on, we're in color temperature mode right now. I'll show you guys how these controls work, but here we go. Let's go to our hue and color mode. And let's bring our intensity up. I want to keep my saturation at full. But here we go, guys. You can see. All right, so that's nice. That's at 99%. That is full on green right there. So it is blasting green onto my background. Let's go ahead, let's start playing with the hue. Let's take it to 240. That will be blue. So as you can see, we've got blue there. And so what I'm doing, guys, is I'm just mixing through. And here, I'll let it cycle through and change a whole bunch of the colors. So there you can really clearly see that it's going through all of our colors there. Let's switch to camera 2. let's kick a light back on so we can see this guy. And then I'm going to show you guys some of the controls here and how this works, because you've got 3 knobs that are going to control a lot of different things on this light. So let's see, let me take us out of this mode right now. So let's start with this middle dial first. So the middle dial, I think you can see here, let me get up closer on it. I'm going to get as close in as I can on that. There we go. This is, again, the beauty of live, guys. The beauty of one-man band live right here is what this is. Are we sharp? No. Now we're sharp. Now we can see what we're looking at. Okay, guys, so here are your 3 controls right here. Above this center knob, there's 2 indicators. One says color temperature, one says hue. And this is going to designate, obviously, which mode you are in. So right now I'm in color temperature mode, which means I will be adjusting in degrees Kelvin as opposed to going through the hue and colors. So then what you do when you're in this color temperature mode, the center dial, you'll see right here, is adjusting my color temperature. So I can bring that, and it loops around. So let's see here. So 2800 is as low as it'll go, and then when we start cranking it all the way up, go past daylight, we're coming way up. Man, and it's going in 50 degree increments. That's pretty impressive. It goes all the way up to 9,990 Kelvin, which is a very cool blue light. So that is how you'll adjust the color temperature right there. And then here, this knob right here is going to control my output intensity. So as you can see, I was only at like 3%, but I'm going to take it all the way up, goes in 1% increments, take this sucker all the way up to 99%. So now I am at full blast output on this right now, guys, at 9,990 degrees Kelvin. So just below 10,000. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go back into our close-ups here. So that's how your color temperature mode works. You've got these 2 buttons right here that are going to adjust your degrees Kelvin and are going to adjust your output intensity right there. Now, the real sweet thing about this is color mode, of course. We're going to want to switch it over to hue. So all you have to do is click this center button, click, and boom, we are now over to hue mode. You can see it has shifted immediately to a sort of yellowish color. I guess that's where I kind of left it last. So I'm going to show you guys how we go through and operate this mode. So this mode right here, what we're going to be looking at. So we have the same kind of thing here. This knob does the same thing. It does our intensity, so 99% all the way down to 0%, which is completely off. Let's keep it at max. So this knob once again does your intensity of your output. And then this knob now is going to start messing with our hue. So that's what I was doing before. So we're going to start changing this. And what it has, if you look here, this is the main number I kind of look at. This is the hue number. So if you're familiar with like mixing colors, even in like Photoshop or something like that, using the numbers for RGB, this will help you so you can identify what your colors are. But as you go through, you know, I'm adjusting the hue. It's also showing me what my mix of red, green, and blue is at the current time. And so they go up or down depending on what kind of light is being mixed in to create the various colors. But you see if I go to 240, 240 is blue, so red is at 0, green is at 0, blue is at max of 252 there. So I should have a pure blue light. Let me go, and indeed I do. I have a very, very blue light here. So let's go, let's try another one. I know I showed you guys a little bit of this before. Let's take it to 360. So 360 is like a magenta. Let's actually take it to straight 0 because that's not so. Straight up 0 on the hue. You can see here is full 252 red, 0 green, 0 blue. This should be pure bright red. And look at that. It is really, really red back there. So you can go through and experiment with it and just play around, or if you do know the exact numerical mix of what you want for your light, you can go ahead and dial that in right there. I usually just find myself kind of fiddling my way through it and dialing up to a color that I like, but there are various ways that you can use that. Let's see, we have chat come in. Daniel Troger, how much does it cost? Getting right to the point there. So I was going to wait on that, but I will let you guys know. I have links to it down in the description below at B&H and on Amazon, and I will be adding one for Adorama as well. But on B&H right now, you can pick this thing up. I believe it's priced at $999. So you're looking at $1,000 for a full RGB+W LED panel, and that's very, very competitive considering that, you know, there are competitors out there that are well into the multiple thousands of dollars. So this, in the world of large, high output, customizable RGB LEDs, this is actually on the affordable end of the spectrum. I know $1,000 isn't affordable for everybody, but, you know, in comparison to its competitors, this one actually really is. So it's kind of amazing what it does. So there are links down in the description below if you want to go ahead and check that out. We're not done yet, but I also do want to say if you also do have further questions and want to talk to some of the people over at TRIGYN directly, I have a link down in the description below where you can direct message them, send them a message on their Facebook page, or there's an email address down there for my buddy Frank, who is the one who I've been sort of working with to get this review put together of this light, and his email address is down there. He said you guys can email him directly, and whether you PM them on Facebook or whether you email him directly, just make sure to let them know that I sent you guys, so that they know that people are watching, enjoying, and want to check out more content from TRIGYN. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the last little bits of the controls, and then I'll show you guys some of the other things that this light can do. Let's pop back in here. All right, so we've gone through what this knob does. This is our intensity in both color temperature mode or in hue mode. So that is pretty straightforward. This guy right here is going to adjust your hue when you're in hue mode, or it's going to adjust your color temperature when you click it and are in color temperature mode. Now this one's kind of cool. This is when you're in hue mode, so I've got my color dialed up. I am at full red again here, but this knob will actually adjust your saturation. So see, we have this number down here next to this S, that's for the saturation. And so I had it all the way up at 99, and I can start dialing down the saturation, and it will desaturate my red if I don't want it to be quite as intense. So let me show you guys that. So we're still red, but now it's sort of a washed out red, as opposed to that really, really bright, fully saturated red that we were looking at earlier. And that's because I've dialed down the saturation on this. And so if you want to have your color be, you know, true 100% red, but maybe not that saturated and intense, you can dial it back using that knob right there. And then the last use for that knob right there, which is kind of cool, this is what they called party mode. If you go ahead, let me make sure I have my saturation all the way up here. If you go ahead and click this, it goes into cycle mode, which is, like I said, what they call party mode. And if we take a look at that, basically what it's doing now is it's cycling through all of the colors. So it's just rolling its way through the spectrum. So you can see it's changing behind me and doing all of that. And the last thing that you have adjustability of is now using this knob, you can adjust this from 0 to 10, which will adjust the speed at which it cycles through. So 10 is the highest and actually means that it's going the slowest. So I like to think of this as like changing the delay between them. So at full 10, they move very slowly between colors. All the way down at 0, they move very quickly through all of the colors in the spectrum. So that is the controls on the unit. That's how to make it do this party mode. That's how to work through your color temperatures, your intensity, your saturation, and your hue, all using those 3 little knobs. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, I'll admit it, to remember how to adjust everything. Luckily, there's plenty of digital readouts and indicators on the back of this display here that, you know, if you're not sure what you're adjusting, you can take a peek at that and it'll actually show you the numbers of what's happening. Oh, let's see here. We got some additional chat coming in, so let's take a second and take a peek at that, and then I'll dive into some of the accessories for this guy. So how much does it cost? I mentioned that. There are links down below, but about $1,000 is what we're looking at for the TRIGYN 2200C. Let's see what else we've got here. Trevor says, I just got the YouTube notice like 5 minutes ago. Man, what's wrong with YouTube? Why aren't they sending out my notifications the moment we go live? That's okay, as long as you made it here. Although, Trevor, you're a long-time watcher. You know that 1 p.m. Saturday, I'm there, man. Unless I'm not. I'm never late. It either happens or it doesn't. And I always let you guys know if it's not going to happen because I'm traveling and on the road and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm looking at you, Trevor. I'm just kidding, man. I always appreciate you coming and hanging out. Let's see. Daniel says, do you know if it's PWM dim? Does it flicker at really high shutter speeds? So I don't actually know that. I haven't tried it at higher shutter speeds. That is something that I would like to play with, but that might be better answered by the guys over at TRIGYN. So go ahead and either hit them up on Facebook or directly email Frank, and he should be able to help you out with those. But I will go ahead and be testing this as well. You know, I'll shoot it at some higher shutter speed, see if I can do some slow motion and see if I can see flickering in this. Obviously right now at our normal 180-degree shutter speed on our cameras, it's looking fine. I'm not getting any flickering, but that's a very good question, especially if you do want to use it as just a regular panel for, you know, some higher speed shooting. Is the lux level changing when you change saturation? That's a good question. Let's take a peek, man. So you're wondering if the output is changing when we change the saturation. So let's go switch back to hue mode. So our saturation, that's a good question. You know what? It's only one way to check. Let me get my color meter here. See, guys, this is why I absolutely love being live and having you guys comment in, because that's something that I have not yet had the chance to check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my color meter here, and we're going to specifically be looking for the output. I'm going to get this guy booted up. But so we'll go ahead and, so yeah, it shouldn't change. You would think the lux, the output, the brightness should be the same. You're just desaturating the color. So instead of just dimming the color, it should be bringing up probably that white LED to help desaturate it. Let's get this thing calibrated real quick and we will take a peek at it. I'm going to go back behind here. While we're waiting for that to calibrate, let's see what else we got in here. Gear Jones, good to see you guys. Pleasure. Who's that? Is that Derek on there? Thanks for joining, man. Let's see here. Gear Jones says, been busy with client work. I know exactly what that's like, man. But, you know, busy is always a good thing. Gear Jones, did I already talk about the weight and portability? That's a good question. No, I have not. It is pretty lightweight. There's not a whole lot of guts in it. It kind of is just like one big circuit board. It is metal. It's lightweight metal. You know, it is decent in size. It's not going to be the easiest to transport, but you could get a decent size like Pelican case or something else, you know, if you wanted to transport a few of these, and they pack down fairly slim. Just fold in those barn doors. If you take a peek here, I'm gonna blind myself with red, but oh, that's really red. Thought my beard was red before, look at it now. But so yeah, you get your profile down to about that and you can pack it in there. And if I take this guy off of the stand, you know, I'm not struggling to pick it up. It's not super heavy. So I know that's not a real scientific explanation of me just picking it up on screen and telling you it's not that heavy, but it's not that heavy. So let's go ahead here. Let's get this guy back open and let's try and check Trevor's question. So let's take a peek at the back of the light here. All right, so I am at full red. As you can see here, I've got the 252 full red, no green, no blue. Saturation is at 99. It doesn't actually go to 100% because I guess technically that should be red at 255. But anyway, it's at the full saturation that this light says. We're going to go ahead and we're going to test it. Sorry for the chat overlay not looking so great on top of the whatchamacallit, the light where I'm in there. The chat overlay was originally designed for my studio upstairs, and then I decided I like streaming down here. So we're going to set this to basic, so I'm going to measure our lux here. So I'm going to come back, and the distance doesn't really matter as long as I'm at about the same point. So let me see where I am. So I'm going to take a lux reading. So I'm getting about 755 lux on red there. So let's go ahead, let's do what you said. Let's take that saturation down. Let's take it down to about, let's give it 75% saturation. So as you can see, that color has shifted quite a bit already. That feels brighter. And it is brighter, it's 1,336. So yes, the lux will change as you adjust the saturation. As you desaturate it, it is bringing in more of that white light. And so you are getting more output from it. So there you go. I hope that answers your question there, Trevor. That was a good question. Let's see. Gear Jones, passive or active cooling? Yeah, that I did mention that before, but we'll take a peek again, no worries. It is entirely, as I can tell, I can say with certainty, it is all passively cooled. There are no fans. There's a lot of open space inside this guy, and so it has these sort of honeycomb ducts on both sides. There's actually not a whole lot of heat coming off of this thing, and it's been on the duration of this show so far. But it is passively cooled, so you don't have to worry about noise on set and your sound guy hating you because your giant light is messing up all your audio. And yeah, that's some serious color, Trevor says. Yeah, it is some serious color. But one thing I do want to test, guys, why did I not grab a tape measure? Anyway, we're just going to wing it again. I promise this isn't product placement for Honest Tea. I just really do like this stuff. Unless Honest Tea wants to sponsor my channel, I'd love it because I go through a ton of this stuff. But sorry, I know that was like 3 thoughts in one sentence there. But what I want to check out, while the color mode here is obviously fun, you know, you can get some pretty intense colors, and then if you pop it to that, you know, that party mode and let it go through, yeah, that's fun. But let's talk about using this thing in non-RGB mode. Let's talk about using it as a bicolor panel, and one with a big range. Like I said, 2800 Kelvin all the way up to just below 10,000, 9,990. And who knows, it might be 10,000 because maybe they just ran out of digits on the digital display. Let's find out. Let's see how far this color temperature range actually goes. I want to use the color meter here. I want to see what our CRI and TLCI are, and let's take a peek, guys. So I'm going to switch it over to color temperature mode. Let's keep our intensity at full. Let's dial it down to the lowest it'll go, which is 2800. And let me show you guys that. So here we go. We are at, like I said, it doesn't actually go to 100%. It reads 99 as full power. 2800 Kelvin. At max. Let's take a peek at what we're getting here, guys. So let me go here. All right. 2800. I really should get a tape measure for this, shouldn't I? Anyway, we're about 3 feet here. Okay, guys, at 2800, let me see if I can show you guys this. Whoops, streamception. At 2800, we are getting about 3000 Kelvin, about 3500 lux, CRI and TLCI of about 91, so they are above 90, so that's good. But it's off by about 200 degrees, but you know, that's super nitpicky 200 degrees these days. So let's go ahead, let's go to our next normal color temperature, if you will. Let's take a look at 3200. So I'm gonna go ahead and dial this guy up to 3200, and let's take a peek at how that guy does. So I'm in the same spot. I'm using this overhead light here as my marker for how far away I am, about 3 feet. So this is at 3200. Okay. It's actually staying pretty consistent, guys. Oops, not channel 4. I went dark. Here we go. So here we go, guys. Set at 3200. We're actually at about 3400, so it still seems it's about 200 degrees off, but that's, you know, decent. Lux at about 3663. CRI still about 91. TLCI 92.9. So still above 90. About 200 degrees off of the color temperature, but you know, 200 is pretty close. And the lux is still staying pretty consistent. Let's move to the next one. Next one I want to try is, let's go to 5600, which is daylight. And I think here is where we're going to start seeing the CRI and TLCI improve a bit, because I think that dedicated white, which I'm assuming is a daylight balanced LED, is going to start coming into play more. Because right now it's making tungsten by mixing the colors, because it doesn't have a true tungsten LED in it. So I'm thinking we're going to see some improvement in quality and possibly even an improvement in output. But let's take a peek. Those are just my guesses right there. So I'm going to dial this guy up to 5600. 5600 on the nose. Let's go ahead and take a reading, guys. Get it right about in the spot. Whoa. All right, that's interesting. We're getting a lot cooler in terms of our color temperature. So here we go, guys. Set at 5600, we're actually getting about 1,000 off. We're almost at 6,600. We are getting an increase by a little bit. We're almost to 4,000 lux now. And our CRI still holding at 91.1. TLCI climbing a little bit to 94.5. So let's go ahead. That's interesting. It seems like that, that white LED that might be coming in is a really, really cool color temperature, which makes sense because the next one we're going to check is we're going to check that almost 10,000. So let's go ahead and dial that up. This will be the last color temp test, I promise, guys, so that you don't have to sit here and watch me dial and test over and over again. But let's get it to 9,990 degrees Kelvin, 100% output. Let's see what we get here. Same spot. Take our reading. Oh, man. Okay, so we're getting some interesting readings here. So this is definitely some interesting readings. We're looking at, we're set at about 10,000, but I'm reading 14,500. So that is really cool color temperature. The lux, we're staying again about, you know, that we've been running between about 3,400 and 3,500 on these for the lux. CRI went down a little bit to 88.7, not sure why that is. And the TLCI still staying above 90 at 92. So TLCI is the one we really want to be looking at for how cameras read color quality, guys. CRI is how like the human eye sees it. So TLCI stayed above 90 for every single one of those color temperatures. So that's decent. In terms of the actual accuracy of the color temperature itself, I'm not sure what exactly is going on there, but that was an interesting test, and it's fun to go ahead and check that out. Let me turn this thing back onto party mode so we can go ahead and go through some more chat items, because I'm sure you guys probably had some comments on what you just saw. So switch it to party mode. Let me get my iPad and let's take a peek. That's some serious color. Where did we leave off here? Trevor says, just curious, are you starting to see less HMIs out in the field? These LED panels are dropping new models every few days and they're cheap. Not really. A lot of the stuff that I work on, you know, HMIs would still be usually the go-to because they're tried and true. For me personally, I'm picking up LED because I don't have the budget to own, you know, HMIs, full sets and stuff like that. It's just not the way I go. And also I find LEDs to be really versatile and really portable for the kind of stuff that I do. LED is definitely creeping up on output and quality, but, you know, I think HMIs still have the edge for right now. But that's not saying that they couldn't be neck and neck in like as little as a year or two. I mean, look at something like the Aperture 300D. We did a test actually with my buddies there from Gear Jones. Make sure to check out their channel. They're hanging out in the chat right now. But we did a big test of the Aperture 300D when it came out versus a whole bunch of traditional lights, including a Joker. What do we have? Was it an 800 or a 400? But anyway, we had a Joker, and I'll put a link to that video down in the description so you can check it out. But you know, not quite there, but really close. So who knows? LED is progressing in leaps and bounds, and yeah, the price is falling as it does that. It seems like for 1 year there's a new technological advance in LED and it's really expensive, and then the next year it's affordable, but then there's a new technological advancement. See what I'm saying? All right, let's see here. Trevor says, I've had more accurate panels on before. Yeah, I have. I'm not sure what's going on with the color temperature of this, but it does actually then have a larger range than they actually anticipated. So it actually has a color temperature range of, what did we say? We were at 2800 and it was off by about 400, so, or off by about 200. So it was about 3,000 on that first one. So we went from 3,000 to 14,000 in the color temperature. So it actually is a larger range than they say. You just are gonna have to use a tool to actually measure it if you want a really precise color temperature. Now, I will say to you guys, that this, I got sent a good while ago, and TRIGYN has made improvements. This is sort of like a prototype version, if you will. There are ones that are for sale right now, obviously, that have improved upon this one that I have. So maybe that control of the color temperature is something that they have improved. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to say that, you know, oh, this is way off or something like that, because it may have improved, and I will look into that for you guys. Let's see here. Gear Jones is confirming we tried a Joker 800 with that. That's awesome. Gear Jones is also saying bicolor LEDs are still my favorite for flexibility. Yeah, I am a bicolor LED man myself. Because of the way that I shoot, I'm usually walking into spaces where I need to match or augment color temperature in order to shoot an interview or something like that. And they're usually small spaces, so I don't need huge amounts of output. When you get a dedicated full-on daylight, obviously you get more output, but I need that versatility of bicolor. So there's that. So this is a little bit of both. It has some pretty decent output. It also has, you know, that color temperature is adjustable, if not super accurate compared to the back of the screen here, and it can do, you know, party mode now, but it is full RGB as well, which is going to give you some awesome abilities for different effects and stuff like that. Let me share with you guys two more things. One, you may have seen this. I think it was kind of creeping into a shot. But this light does actually come with a remote. So this remote, I'm not sure. It seems kind of like a prototype version of the remote. Obviously, like I said, I got the prototype remote, or the prototype of the light. But if we go here, I have control over the light. I am adjusting it, I think. But anyway, it comes with a remote. I'm not sure if this is the model of the remote that you will be getting. Did I shut it off? Interesting. So I'm not sure if this is the actual final remote that you guys will get with it or not, but it is remote controllable. So that is nice. I haven't admittedly played with this very much, and so I'm not sure how easy it is to use and understand. You did see it does have like a digital readout on it that reflects the readout on the back here, so it should be pretty easy to dial in your color temperatures and your hue and saturation and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is I found out just before the show, I was talking with Frank, making sure that I was up to date on everything that had been happening with this light. And this light apparently has Bluetooth built in and also has an app. So I have not tried this. I installed the app just before the show, literally like 30 seconds before the show started. So I want to go ahead and I want to check this out and see if we can make this work. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just going to see if we can do it right now on the show. So let's go to the overhead here. We've got my phone. And I guess it's Bluetooth. So let's go to settings. Let's go into Bluetooth and let's see if I see it anywhere. I'm not seeing it, and it's been on for a while. But anyway, the app is called TRIGYN LED, D-I-S-O-N LED, and it comes up like this. Oh, wait. Linking device. Oh my goodness, it worked. It just, the app automatically detected. Let me see if this is actually changing stuff. Holy cow, it is, guys. So anyway, so here's this interface. It's got brightness, color temperature, hue, saturation, focus. I guess really not relevant for this one, but it has this color wheel. Sorry, that was genuine live excitement there, guys, that this is actually working. So if I take this and start dragging this around, wherever I'm on with my color temperature, or sorry, with my hue, it is changing the color of that light. So let me show you this here. That was really simple and really easy. So let me go ahead and put this here so that you guys can see it. But yeah, as I'm doing this, you can see it is adjusting those. And you've got color light, switch it over to white light, color light. So now, wow, power, shuts it off. That is pretty cool, guys. So yeah, TRIGYN LED, it was a free app. I just installed it right before the show. Let me go back to color light. That's awesome. So I installed it just before the show. You saw me just set it up and connect it to the light for the very first time, and it was that simple. It was done. So it has Bluetooth installed, even in this sort of prototype model here. And yeah, you get that app, and that is an amazing way to control this. That might be my preferred method of controlling this thing in the future. So that's pretty awesome. Let me take a peek at the chat, and then I'll make sure and run through my mental checklist and see if I forgot anything. But if you guys have any other questions on this light, please feel free to pop them in right now, because you guys have had some good ones. Let's see. Trevor says, haha, why are you surprised it worked? So I'm surprised that it worked, not because I was expecting poor performance from TRIGYN. I was expecting it not to work just because I've had so many times where I have either smart home devices or something or other, and it takes me forever to actually get them to communicate with my phone. Oh, my dogs are outside. They're barking at the door. They hear me in here. But that's why. It wasn't a reflection of my expectations for the light. It was actually my expectations for the phone and connectivity and things just, you know, when they recognize the device, but you click it and it just spins and spins and never connects. That's why. But it did work. It connected. It's via Bluetooth, so it just saw it right away when I opened up the app, saw its ID number, connected to it, and it's very responsive, and I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's a fantastic feature. I just set it back into party mode. I kind of like that. Let's see here. So Mr. Snowman says, no PIN code needed to connect to the Bluetooth. Can see that being a problem if you have other people using the same units. That's a good question. Yeah, so it did when I opened it up and connected to it, gave me an ID number for the device. Now, I don't know where you would get that ID number from. So that might be a good question for TRIGYN. So yeah, even if you had various lights of this, I'm not sure if you can control multiple at the same time. Obviously you could through DMX, but yeah, you want to make sure you're connecting to the same unit, and you also want to make sure that nobody else is actually connecting to your unit. So that's a good question, but it did come up with a dedicated ID number. I don't know how it assigns those ID numbers to the light. I think this one was like 991 or something like that. So in the future, I'll try testing it and see if it does assign it the same ID number each time. So maybe it's something hardware identifiable. I'm not sure. But that's a good question, and that is something to think about if, you know, if you are using either multiples of these that you want to change, or if you want to work in an environment where somebody else is using them as well. It's a good point. Let me just take a sip. Sorry guys, 50 minutes of just straight talking will parch you pretty quickly. So let's see. I want to make sure, is there anything else I forgot? We talked about the build, we talked about the app, we talked about the remote, we've set it into party mode, we've gone through all the color temperatures and settings and all of that. We talked about, I think we've covered just about everything on this there, guys. So like I said, if you do have further questions about this light, one, you can pop them here into the chat for the next minute or two before I wrap up. And then you can, of course, leave comments on this video after it is finished. And I will try and answer those for you as they come in. And also, I have put instructions both for TRIGYN's Facebook page where you can directly message them on there and ask any questions. And also, Frank has been gracious enough to hand out his email address if anybody has any questions and want to email him directly. Just let him know that I sent you guys, and he will gladly help you guys out with any questions that you have about this. So let's see if we have any last things coming in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to shut down party mode, let my dogs inside, and get on with my Saturday. So let's see what we've got here. Trevor says, it's good you're doing these episodes on lights. So many people are putting out camera episodes comparing cameras by ISO sensitivity. Yeah, you know, I never really got into reviewing cameras. There's just so much there, and I feel that a lot of it is very subjective. You know, it's up to your personal preferences. I mean, yeah, you can do spec sheets and stuff like that, but whether a camera is good for one person doesn't mean it's good for me in the way that I work and all that stuff. Lighting, you know, lighting is an amazing world, and it's expanding. It is like the wild, wild west out there, especially in terms of RGB lights and the things that they can do. While this doesn't have any pre-programmed effects, that is one thing I did want to say. That's what differs this really from the other ones. Like obviously the sky panels are super expensive, but they have all sorts of effects and stuff that are pre-programmed in that you can do. This doesn't have any of those at this time, but you know, the only effect, if you will, is party mode where it just sort of cycles through, but no effects or anything like that, like some of the higher end lights. So you are sacrificing that, but you're getting a much lower price point. Like I said, about $1,000 for the light. And you have now a ton of different companies that have the technology to do this, and TRIGYN being one of them. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of other affordable solutions and options in the future. And I've talked with the guys at TRIGYN, and I welcome you to talk to the guys at TRIGYN as well. If you have ideas for features and stuff that you want to see, I'm sure these guys are hungry to crank out the next iteration and give us, you know, what we want at an affordable price point. So talk to them about that. My puppy is whining outside the door. By puppy, I mean he's 40 pounds. He's huge. He's just being a pain in the butt. But it means I got to run soon, guys. We are coming to about the end of our time here. Let's see here. Trevor Last Thing says, when you should be lighting serious work anyway, good light is the equalizer for cameras. That is true. Lighting is extremely, extremely important. Arguably more important than the camera you are shooting on. Yes, you can get the most expensive camera, but if your lighting isn't quality, then you know your image isn't gonna be quality. It is something that can make a huge difference. So while this is a little bit more niche and specialized with the RGB and all of that, you know, any lighting is, you know, going to be a different tool, serve a different purpose, and it's going to help you out. So I'll try and continue to get some lighting products in for you guys so that we can take a look at them and take a look at different ways to use them, and maybe reveal some new companies to you guys like TRIGYN. I'm not sure if you guys knew about them or not, but they're here. The 2200C is here, and who knows what they've got coming next. Very cool. So big thanks to the TRIGYN guys for letting me check this out, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys today. Thank you to all of you who hung out in the live chat. You guys are awesome. If you're catching this, this show after it's already gone live and you missed us, well, make sure you try and catch us on the next one, because it's great hanging out live and checking stuff out. The way to do that is to make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can find out whenever I am going live. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of them are under Bart Johnson Productions, because I do put out posts before the shows and stuff like that, letting you know that content's coming. So I'm active on all of those. I also have a Discord server that I have started, guys. Discord is sort of like a 24/7 chat room for, you know, anyone who wants to hang out, ask me questions, share stuff, just chat, do whatever. It's a way to communicate and stay in touch with you guys beyond doing these live shows. It means you can reach me anytime, anywhere. Speaking of anywhere, I am packing up today because I am hitting the road once again early tomorrow morning. I'm flying to San Diego, and I'm going to be there until the end of October. So unfortunately, guys, that means we will not be having a show next week. But I promise that when I'm back, I will get a show scheduled for the next Saturday. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I hate missing Saturdays with you guys, but I gotta work, I gotta do what I gotta do. So make sure to stay tuned and follow me on those social media accounts and subscribe here on Facebook so that you can be notified when I get that next live stream scheduled and set up, because it'll be on all of those. All right, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. My puppies, thank you for letting me go and let them in and play with them. But it's been great. I will see you guys in about, I think it's 2 weeks, but we will not be here next week. You guys, always a pleasure. Take care of yourselves. Make sure to check out the TRIGYN 2200C, and I will see you guys next time.